The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 30th day of April, 2025. I think it's the final day of April, too. Yeah, final day of April, 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman, and Teo Dill will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's. Happy final day of April. Happy middle of the traditional work week. Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday. Happy however you choose to look at it. How is everyone feeling today? I'm happy. I'm excited. Once again, another great guest coming up, and I get to engage all of you. Yeah, always exciting to be here. No matter how early, no matter how late, we are here ready to engage in another community conversation with all of you. So I hope everyone's feeling good out there. But greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Jenny Smatt, Olympian Jenny Smatt. You know, real quickly, I remembered her name simply because 1992 Barcelona Olympics was the first Olympics I followed. You had the Dream Team, and that was a big thing on television because, you know, it was US television we had. So that's what had my attention. So I am happy to actually have a conversation with Jenny Smatt of how she's using her experience to help others. So really looking forward to that, audience. The daily play is music today. Yeah, it's music. And this is in honor of our guest today. So it's a kind of sports related music question. All right. So hopefully you all have your thinking caps on. But also don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, folks. Today we've got a rough conversation. What I'm going to ask you all to do, I ask you to do every day, but especially today, do us a favor, and whatever platform you're on, be it Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever platform you're on, do us a favor right now. Cost you nothing. Like, love, follow, but share this link with your friends, your family, your colleagues, because we're about to have a community conversation that I feel like we avoid. I feel like we choose not to hold ourselves and our loved ones accountable for. The question of the morning: what are your thoughts on cracking down on DUIs in Bermuda? And should establishments that continue to serve visibly intoxicated people be prosecuted? Let's go to the Royal Gazette, because in the Royal Gazette, titled "Call for Community to Rein in Selfish Drink Drivers." Now, the Bermuda Police Service said they remain resolute in their efforts to combat drink driving after 2 people were arrested over the weekend for related offenses. Both were expected to appear before the courts. And the report said that the BPS reported that on Saturday at about 7:30 p.m., an off-duty police officer saw a man repeatedly stumble while making his way to a motorcycle on Reed Street. A spokesman said the officer approached the man on suspicion that he was under the influence of alcohol and identified herself as a police officer and tried to discourage the man from driving in his condition. The male reportedly became belligerent and attempted to leave the scene on his motorcycle. The officer called for assistance, and the suspect was subsequently arrested for having care and control of a vehicle while impaired. The man was taken to Hamilton Police Station, where a breath test measured 279 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milliliters of blood, more than 3 times the legal limit of 80 milligrams over 100. Here we go, folks. These are your questions. These are your questions. What are your thoughts on cracking down on DUIs in Bermuda? How do we do that? And should establishments, and I want to take it from Bermuda Broadcasting News, right? Bermuda Broadcasting, Jasmine Patterson done a story last night, and Anthony Santucci of CARTA, the executive director of CARTA, I want to kind of share something he said, and this is from Bermuda Broadcasting, all right?
Or a restaurant or bar to serve somebody that is visibly intoxicated. And if you are caught serving somebody that is visibly intoxicated, the establishment, is liable for a fine of up to $10,000.
All right. Well, hopefully you heard what Mr. Santucci just said. He spoke about the TIPS program as well for bartenders. Let me say this. I don't like talking about this topic from a space of judgment. This is not, I don't think we need to talk about this from a place of judgment this morning. We need to talk about it from a place of solving a community problem that we ignore because it's so ingrained in our culture. You know the song, Bermudians Love to Drink. And it seems like it's all fun and games and entertainment until something goes wrong. I'm going to tell you now, operating a vehicle under the influence is one of the most selfish things that each of us can do. And I am guilty of it. I had done it. But it is selfish of us. Because not only are you putting your own life in jeopardy, you're putting the lives of others in jeopardy. So, audience, the question this morning, we need to find a solution to this community problem is, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on cracking down on DUIs in Bermuda? How do we do that? Do we put the onus on individual accountability? Do we put it on the establishments, restaurants, bars, and start prosecuting them? Do we put it on the police and tell them to start enforcing? Like Mr. Santucci said, by law, each bar is supposed to have cameras. And he went on to say during that report that what we probably need to do is ask the person, where did they just come from? Get the CCTV footage, right? The surveillance, and see who served them. And then that bartender and establishment be held accountable. What are your thoughts on that? Because most of us, none of us stay in our homes all day. Most of us are on the road at some point, operating a vehicle or on a vehicle or in a vehicle. All it takes is a selfish person, right? With no care in the world, think, oh, it can't happen to me, to change your life forever. Michelle White says, I thought establishments were directed to not serve already intoxicated patrons. When did that change? That's exactly what Mr. Santucci said. That's what he was saying. He said that it's against the law for establishments to serve visibly intoxicated people. And Mr. Santucci said, we need to enforce that law, right? But I guess the question is a yes or no, audience, just a yes or no. Should establishments that continue to serve visibly intoxicated people be prosecuted? Yes or no? Yes or no? Suzanne Ingham says, cracking down on DUIs, we have laws for this. They just don't get enforced. Hello, simple fix. Enforce. She's absolutely correct. She's absolutely correct. But Suzanne, it's easy to say just enforce the laws. Okay, cool, enforce the laws. But where's the personal accountability? Where is the personal accountability? That's what we need to be discussing as well. Personal accountability. Should establishments that continue to serve visibly intoxicated people be prosecuted? Yes or no? Sean Smith says yes. Michelle White says yes. Michelle Dorr says yes. It's a safety issue for both the inebriated person and the general public. SC Skincare says yes. Okay, I think it's a consensus. So now we agree that establishments that continue to serve visibly intoxicated people should be prosecuted. How do we crack down on DUIs in Bermuda? Is it an education thing? Because, or do you say the police just need to enforce the law? It's funny because we want the police to do that, and then when they do it, some of us are going to react differently, right? James Burgess says, I think the cameras should be used, and yes, they should be prosecuted. Sean Smith said they should lose their liquor license. Well, I think Mr. Santucci just said that they get up to a $10,000 fine as well. Suzanne Ingham says, yes, personal accountability. If you do not hear, you will feel. Old school teaching, common sense. What else, audience? How do we crack down on DUIs in our community? What direction do we need to go to crack down? And keep it coming, yes or no. Should establishments that continue to serve visibly intoxicated people be prosecuted? Again, this is ingrained in our culture. This is ingrained in our culture. We've accepted that Bermudians drinking is a Bermudian pastime, and the irresponsible behavior that follows that we seem to be okay with. We seem to be okay with it. It's not okay. It's really not okay. I believe people should, whether you want to smoke the ganja or drink the spirits, do what you do. Don't put other people's lives in jeopardy while you do it. That's all I ask. I think it's one of the most selfish things we do as individuals. What else, audience? What are your thoughts on cracking down on DUIs in Bermuda? How do we go about doing it? Michelle White says, I think the next part of the issue would be having to deal with the violent, intoxicated person. Security would then be another expense for the business. Maybe that's the reluctance. Well, I mean, you have a point, but I think that comes with the territory, right, Michelle? That kind of comes with the territory of the line of business that you're in. I mean, you can't just break the law because you say you can't afford security. WKD Lama says, no, drinkers need to be held responsible. DUI should be a jail sentence. You know, talking to people about it, most places in the world, DUI is seen as one of the most serious offenses. Like, it's treated, I hate to say it, but it's almost treated as attempted murder in some respects. Like, it legit is. In Bermuda, it's almost like, again, we've accepted it. We've accepted it as a part of our culture. We have. And I don't know what we can do, but we've got to change that. 3 times over the legal limit, that report said. 3 times. There's no telling who could have been impacted by that individual between leaving Reed Street and going home. We've got to do better as a community. Suzanne Ingham says, you answered the question, Jamel. The clubs and bars that allow drunks to drink more should be held accountable. Take the keys and give them back for a week. Don't give them back for a week, sorry, I think she means. They need to suffer the consequences. Michelle White says, absolutely, add it to the expense of doing business. James Burgess says they treat it like a game. Absolutely, they do. They do. We're about to enter Bermuda's busiest season. From Bermuda Day to Carnival to county games to cup match to what those things called, raft stops, Labor Day. Like, this is the period where Bermudians are outside, right? And what happens when Bermudians are outside? They drink. There are taxi drivers who need your business. Get a cab. You have family and friends who love you. Ask them. Ask them. What I do know is that we can't continue with the irresponsible behavior that has become, or that we've allowed to become ingrained in our culture. I believe it really does truly start with personal accountability. Personal accountability. As well as personal accountability, businesses need to act and work within the law. If the law states that it's illegal to serve an already visibly intoxicated person, then you don't serve them. And if you don't have security, call the police. If the person is a regular, call their relative. I remember I was up Robin Hood years ago. We're talking about 20 years ago. I was at Robin Hood, and the bartender asked someone to leave because he was, visibly intoxicated and becoming belligerent. He wouldn't leave, so they called his wife. His wife came, belligerent to her. The next step, the police. Man, this big Bayesian police officer gripped this dude, took him down the steps, end of story. And guess what happens after that? The individual is banned from your establishment for not adhering to directives from the bartender. It's that simple, or is it? Renee Simmons says, I believe the establishment should be held accountable if the individual is already intoxicated. The establishment is issued the license, not the bartender, but in specific cases include the bartender. Well, yeah, I definitely think the establishment, but the bartender represents the establishment, right? I think, one of the challenges we have, though, right? And again, many of you like a good spirit, and I'm fine with this. Is not a criticism. Trust me, I have no problem with people drinking around me, with me, whatnot. I choose not to do it at this time in my life. But it's a difference between having fun and drinking with friends and being intoxicated and operating a vehicle. Two completely different things. As a community, we've got to do better. We've got to do better. This is your daily discussion brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure Trucking.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com, for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
Just want to read these comments from Instagram real quickly. Bud Guile Gale, or I think that's Bud Guile Gale, says establishments don't care. They're only looking to make money. Individuals need to take accountability for themselves. I don't feel an establishment should be prosecuted. Just my opinion. Goes on to say, friends let friends drive drunk every weekend. I see it all the time. It's sad and it isn't right, but people need to be responsible for their own actions. Okay. Appreciate your contribution, Bud Gal Gale. I think I pronounced that right. Go through these final two comments. We've got Michelle White says, when caught DUI, they should be asked where they drank. That's exactly what Mr. Santucci said. What if it was at a friend's house? That person should also be prosecuted. I don't know if the law allows for that, but okay. Shamari Sky says, police should be at the gate of clubs and in other popular spots. Fair, but then they'll say they don't have the numbers, which might be a fair point. All right, let's bring Taylor Dillon for Daily Hour News Break. Don't forget, you don't want to miss a conversation. We've got a Bermuda Olympian coming up, and she's going to be discussing with us and sharing how she's helping the next generation of athletes.
Hey, morning, Jay. Morning, fam. Good to see everybody. It's most especially my good brother. How are you?
I'm good, man.
I'm grateful for the conversation that you've been running this morning, because it is one of the worst things that have become absolutely normal about Bermudian life. And I shouldn't even say has been normal about Bermudian life. But there's one small upside to all. I shouldn't say upside, but it's something to reassure us. The most recent study by I can't remember which agency it was. Was it the Center Against Drug Control, CADA, or
CADA, probably.
or Shift or something? Anyway, it indicates that youth drug use, including alcohol use, is on the decline. So the young ones are less likely to be using and abusing alcohol, marijuana, etc., than years gone by, which is in keeping with global trends. You know, like when we think about young people, we think they're more likely to binge drink or, get caught up with weed, like for real, or be engaged in unhealthy, unsafe sexual behaviors. Actually, this generation, they just do it less. They do it way less than we did.
I feel like I saw a report on that recently too. We shared it. Teo, yes, we shared it in the TDH group earlier this month or last month, and it was a report showing that this Generation Z in particular, drinks way less than boomers and accent. Yes, thank you. I do remember that. Right.
Now, that may run counter to your instincts, but the data is the data, right? If it is so, it is so. So it's not to say that we shouldn't push harder and try even more firmly to help protect the young ones from engaging in these unhealthy behaviors, but always keep in mind, we did it too, and statistically, we did it worse. Right?
But thank you for saying that, Teo, because I know folks, I think we speak on emotion so much that, and at times I'm very guilty of this. Like we have that data. We've discussed this data before, like in our group and so on. And I think that's so important that Teo said that, because the young people are not the ones that started this.
No.
This is something that, as Teo started, has been our culture. Like, it's been ingrained in us. The facts are they're doing it less.
And that's something to celebrate. I mean, I think I'm not outside like that. But what it feels like to me is what has been definitely on a decline is binge drinking. Because I remember, and I'm sure you remember, Jay, when we were young, getting tore up, with that being a priority. Like, I'm going out to get plastered. Like, they don't move that way, like that's just not a recreational activity
Mhm.
in the same way that it used to be. Which is the thing that reduces the likelihood of all the other consequences of that unhealthy behavior. Because when you basically lost your mind on the drink,
Yeah.
any number of things could take place, and then that's just not a priority for them in the same way that it was for us. I don't think.
And I mean, when we were working at the radio station, I mean, Taylor, if I wasn't coaching, I was at a bar after work, and I think it was so normal, like that.
Yeah.
That was so normal. But real quickly, Tay, before you get into the news, so remember the story. I have to share this story real quickly. Remember the story I spoke of where an expat was on TikTok and basically hates Bermuda, right?
Oh yeah. The one that's been here since October, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so remember, audience, I said I reached out and I was gonna meet her and just speak to her about her experience and try to like introduce her to some folks and so on. Well, I met two expats yesterday who've been in Bermuda since November, October, and we had a little morning brew. And I heard them out. And I want people to understand why I want us to stop responding to people who are unhappy with the Bermudian experience. I've literally been an expat in the US like for the last umpteen years, right?
Mhm.
And I know what it feels like to be in a space that, it's harder to meet people as you get older. I'm not as extroverted as I once was. Like, I know people think I shake it. I'm not as much as I used to be. It's hard. I don't have children. It's hard to meet people. So I understand and I listened to them and I understood. So by the end of the conversation, I asked them what they like to do. They like to play golf. I'm putting them in touch with our golfer on the team, Larry Marshall Jr. I said, hey, would you like to play golf? They didn't know about the perfumery. They didn't know about the exhibition last week and so on. So I gave them some suggestions, trying to put them in touch with our team, Mia, and some others in the community. What I'm simply saying, folks, is they have jobs that Bermudians can't fill. We need them in this country.
And we need them happy.
And we need them happy because I don't think people understand the thing about reputations. If they leave, the reputation of the next people who we want to get in, it's going to be difficult. I'm not saying we get down on our knees and kiss people's feet, but we have to learn how to treat people who are coming into our community. No, they have a role to play as well. What's that saying? When in Rome, do as the Romans.
Yeah. And also to just because this is my fundamental point when it comes to this kind of tension. With people moving to Bermuda, you gotta really think about it in detail because we are a tiny little place. Yeah. And if you're coming from a major metropolitan area, like a city of several 100,000, couple million, your experience is necessarily going to be super different. Yeah. Like if your expectation is there's always going to be something to do, like within a couple of blocks, that's insane. Like it's like, why would you think that? Right?
Yeah.
Like there's not going to be a choice of 15 walking clubs for people in your particular demographic group available to you. And it's not to say that you shouldn't want those things, but they're wonderful things to desire and participate in. But coming to a place this little, you got to check.
Yeah.
Because if it's not there, it doesn't make a lot of sense to resent the place for being like inadequate and insufficient and backwards. And it's like, no, we're a town of 60,000 people in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. There's only so much that can be done with those details.
The onus is on them when coming to a new place, unless by marriage. Yeah. What you got today, Say?
Well, some interesting stuff. In fact, we got a new partner to help the Bermuda Tourism Authority bring tourists from Canada our way. And I looked into them a little bit. They are called Fever Pitch Marketing Communications, and they're officially the BTA's new Canadian agency of record. They also, they got a solid reputation. They look after the national tourism boards for Jamaica, Japan, and Mexico. BTA VP of Marketing and PR, Jamari Douglas, shared that Fever Pitch's experience and expertise will help us design compelling stories about the island and bump up year-round visitation from Canada. And you can check out some of the work on IG, as you see here, by searching for Fever Pitch Marketing. It looks pretty good, but I couldn't find a whole lot because their website, I featured it earlier in this footage. It's just not a lot of content that I could find. So I figured, considering Fever Pitch is also the Jamaican Tourism Board's Canadian agency of record, I wanted to see if I could find any content for the Jamaicans that they've made to convince people to visit that island. I was unsuccessful, but in the process of looking, I sourced a recent interview with the JTB's director, Donovan White, who shared a particular focus on U.S. demographics for the Jamaican tourism industry that I've never even heard considered in a local context. And I wanted to see what y'all, specifically Jay, thought about this.
Team is first of all focused on maintaining our market share. That's the first thing in terms of presence. But we also focused on ensuring that we're growing from new niche markets in the U.S. The Indian population is an area of focus. The Hispanic population is an area of focus. The Chinese population is an area of focus. So there are some specific areas of focus that we believe we still are to achieve excellence in, and that will come over time. That will also now add to our focus on the main markets in India and the main markets in Latin America and of course Eastern Europe.
Didn't Dr. Hewitt try to do something with China and everybody got mad or something?
Yeah. A bunch of his international outreach was not appreciated or even considered fairly, I think.
I'll say this much about the Indian and Chinese markets and so on. If you've ever traveled and you see Chinese folks travel in loads,
they roll deep,
like the person with the sign, and so on. I think tourism is so competitive. You're not just competing against like a Jamaica or like whatever island comes to mind. You're competing against that small town in freaking Ireland you've never heard of, that small town in Colorado that you've never heard of, that small town in Argentina. Like it's such a global thing. Like you're competing against made up destinations like Dubai, things that went from desert to like beach.
Like custom constructed by the wealthiest people on the planet for the wealthiest people on the planet.
I think it's honestly going to take community creativity for Bermuda tourism to get back on track. And when I say community creativity and sacrifice, we're going to need a lot of help from non-Bermudians. And I know Bermudians don't like to hear that, but it's a relationship business. And in order for us to do that, we're going to have to get non-Bermudians who have relationships to, what's that called? When they bring a Bermudian under them, shadow him, and then take over. What's it called?
Succession planning.
Succession planning. That's the way out of it. Succession planning. But I don't. Bermuda tourism's in a rough spot. It really is. But we need the right people in space to give it a chance. And it's not going to happen overnight. You need someone who is willing to take the heat, or people willing to take the heat for about 3 to 5 years, because it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, I think it's a generational cycle, right? Because it took a couple generations to get us to the spot that we were in the 50s, just up until the 80s. It like that didn't happen overnight. Like that started in the 20s, I think, or maybe a little before that. So 30 years until we really got it cooking, and then it's taken about 50 years for it to gradually dissolve. So it's going to take another where all of us accept the premise that tourism is an essential component of our daily lives, and not just an essential one where you grit your teeth and you take your medicine. Like, no, this is a good thing. This is what we want to do. This is who we want to be. And that takes a minute. Now I got some interesting information that basically we should kind of thank Donald Trump, all of us here in Bermuda, for something, because his administration may have just inadvertently, didn't do this on purpose now, protected Bermudian students from being able to continue to attend Canadian universities. Basically, he was a huge reason that the Liberal Party, led by new Prime Minister Mark Carney, beat Pierre Poilievre's Canadian Conservatives. So at the start of the year, the Canadian Liberal Party was on track to get wiped out in this week's election. All that changed, though, when Trump started doing his thing all over the U.S.'s number one trading partner, Canada, talking about making that country the 51st state, calling them the nastiest country he's ever had to negotiate with, all the tariffs, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the Canadian Conservatives have been running a populist, anti-immigration, anti-globalist campaign in the MAGA model, intentionally associating themselves with Trump for years, which was working. right up until the point he got into office, and it very much did not work. Now, this matters for us because the Canadian Conservative Party position for international students, that is Bermudian students, would have meant continued or further restrictions on financial proof requirements, further restrictions on study permits, more challenging application scrutiny, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is to say, it would have been harder to get into school in Halifax or Ontario or whatever. So for once, Bermudians can wholeheartedly say thank you, President Trump, for being a crazy, crazy man.
Audience, would you like to thank President Trump? Let us know.
Go on Twitter. Do you think? Go on True Social. Tag him. Send him a message. Say thanks. I ain't doing it though. Now that said, Trump is responsible for something else that kicked in this week. That local women, and forgive me for being a little gender specific here, but local women, you're probably never gonna forgive him for this. Brace yourself. Prices on Shein and Temu have just spiked across the board, specifically as a result of the new U.S. tariff regime.
3-pack of men's athletic shorts went from $23 to $56 after retailer Temu added a more than $32 import charge into the shopping cart.
My $18 free shipping Temu order that I tried to place last night had a $27 import charge.
Over at Shein, prices rising too.
Has anyone looked at their Shein cart this morning?
Both posting nearly identical notices to customers, blaming, quote, recent changes in global trade rules and tariffs. After the Trump administration closed a loophole that allowed duty-free shipment of low-cost Chinese goods directly to U.S. households, they'll now carry a 120% tariff or $100 shipping fee, rising to $200 in June.
Well, I know Bermuda's love is happy about that because Shein's bad for the environment. But that said,
absolutely fast fashion. Bleh.
It's about to be a long summer for you all with those county game and cup match outfits.
You better cop them before June, otherwise you might only be able to get the 2 as opposed to the 7. You know what I mean? Oh, do you think, like, folks? Do you think this could recalibrate people's shopping patterns in a healthy way, or do you think people would just eat it?
No, I my hope is that people will revisit how they spend, especially on retail. But something tells me the desire to please others, they'll eat it.
I got you. So it's an uphill battle, basically. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, that's a couple of things Trump did that affected us in the past couple of days. Now, as far as the weather is concerned, leave the umbrella at the crib for the rest of the week. You're not going to need it. Yeah, chunky slice of high pressure should keep the skies clear and bright for the next couple of days as the air temps climb up from the high to low 60s to the mid to low 70s. In fact, if you can deal with the water temperature or are just not Bermudian, it might be a great time to hop overboard for an early after work swim. I ain't doing it, but might be good conditions for everybody else.
I appreciate that. I brought this good weather to Bermuda. It's golf day. It's golf day. Are you a golfer?
Okay. No. But I enjoy it a great deal. Not the hitting the thing with the thing and, trying to get the ball into place. More just like walking around on a beautiful day with a lot of light and sun and talking to people, which is why I can't really play golf that often, because everybody in my space that likes golf, they take it kind of serious. Yeah. And I ruin it for everybody because we'll be there for like 4 hours because I got to go that ball out the trees, that ball out the trees. But I'm having a ball. Like there's no the competition, competitive part I don't like.
The most shameful part of what you're saying right now, the one time I played golf, I was with you and I was worse off than you.
Yeah, actually, that's a fact too, bro.
You didn't have to agree. You could have said I don't.
No. This is so helpful because one of the reasons that I haven't been playing golf is because I'm the worst golfer that I know. Turns out I am not. I am the second worst golfer that I know.
I don't like this guy.
Thank you, Jay.
No, but true story. We got to bring our guest on. But the true story, folks. I was so bad that they were like, "Okay, just putt." Yeah, it was that bad. Larry on our team. I'm like, I want to spend some time with my boy. It's like, yeah, I'm going to play some golf. I'm not going to play no golf. You're not frustrating me trying to get that little bowl and that little hole. And yeah. Anyway, hey, We'll see you Friday, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Tail deal, folks. Do not go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with our guest of the day. We've got Jenny Smatt, Olympian Jenny Smatt, doing her part to help Bermuda's next generation of athletes. We'll be back in a sec.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high quality functional products can be stylish and comfortable at the same time?
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Attention home renovators and design lovers, your dream space starts here. The brand new Kohler retail showroom at BAC Group is now open, bringing you up to 35% savings on all Kohler products at U.S. manufacturer suggested retail prices. That means no extra fees, no freight, no wharfage, no duty, no document processing fees, just pure cutting-edge Kohler design at unbeatable value. From sleek kitchen and bathroom faucets, vanities, toilets, to statement sinks, walking tubs, and spa-worthy bathtubs, BAC brings innovation and luxury within reach. Visit the BAC showroom on Mill Creek Road today for style, quality, no surprises. Just color from BAC.
Discover Drop It, your go-to grocery delivery. Browse and select from a wide range of groceries, from fresh produce to daily essentials. Our friendly drivers deliver fresh groceries to your door fast, saving you time and hassle. With Drop It, you get fresh groceries delivered fast, so you can focus on what really matters. Drop It, freshness at your doorstep, delivered to your door with Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
Dreaming of expanding your business? With BDC's Loan Guarantee Program, we support your ambitions. Get up to 75% guarantee on bank or credit union loans up to $300,000. Just your vision and our support. Apply today and unlock new business opportunities. BDC, Bermuda business starts here.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Jamal Hartman here. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medicals, Linda's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, without further ado, let's bring our guest for the day. We've got Olympian Jenny Smatt. Give her a warm TDH welcome, folks. Hello. How are you?
Great, thanks. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm good. I'm smiling. I'm happy. It's Wednesday. I gotta ask you though. Are you a golfer?
You know, I had a good chuckle listening to you guys banter about that. No, not really. You'll probably see the divots before you see me.
Okay, all right, perfect. No, I'm honest, man. I met with a CEO in Bermuda about 2 years ago, and he said, you know, people always make you believe you need to know how to play golf to make your way up the ranks. I don't even own clubs. I can't frustrate myself. And it made me feel better about myself because I was really, really bad. So, but hey, you've been successful without being on the golf course. We want to talk about you. Yeah. So let's start. I tell the audience, there might be someone watching today, tuned in, who is asking, well, who's Jenny Smatt? Tell a little bit about your background and what it is that you do.
Sure. What brings me here today is probably front and center is the swimming aspect. I started swimming at age 9 and worked my way all the way to the 1992 Olympics. So kind of that's one part of who I am. The other part is a business owner of Entrue and a mom of 2 boys. So I wear a number of hats.
Love it, love it. And thank you for representing Bermuda in 92. But reflecting on your Olympic experience back then, how did that experience shape your perspective on the challenges that some of younger athletes are facing today?
Sure. I think it's probably most appropriate to go back to where I started in swimming. And so and I caveat this, and I try not to say it, but back in my day, at age, and I'm not, folks can do the math themselves, but we didn't have a 50-meter pool. Had a 25-meter pool, and we didn't have the privilege of competing in a 50-meter pool, which for folks who are not familiar with swimming, that's the Olympic size pool where most of our meets and certainly the big games are held. And so I started to swim competitively at age 8, represented Bermuda starting at age 9. And then my first major festival, I was 14, Commonwealth Games. And when I think back to that journey, we really didn't have a lot. And in 1992, we had 6 swimmers on that Olympic team, which is unmatched to this day. And that record for the relay team, we haven't had another relay team since then.
Wow.
And so what I know to be true is it is possible to develop athletes from Bermuda and to represent Bermuda well on the world stage. And I personally have not seen that same level of effort in recent years. And perhaps because the perspective's not there, I don't know. But from my perspective, it is possible. And remember, I can speak from a swimming perspective. Gareth Davies, who was instrumental, was a teacher at Whitney, dedicating his time. He wasn't a big name coach. So he was instrumental in allowing us being those who aspired to a higher level. He was instrumental in connecting us, giving us what we needed to achieve that goal.
Well, I think you said something. I did not know we hadn't had that kind of representation since 92. But in saying this, my research and conversations I've had, swimming today, and I try to say this in the most respectful way, swimming today, it seems more likely that expats or children of expats are going to be the swimmers rather than Bermudian children. What is that part of what's changed?
I think what has changed significantly is the cost of developing an athlete in order to be competitive. And, that's a nice segue to what we're about to talk about in performance pathways. I'll just give you a basic figure. So for our swimmers to go to the Carifta Games, this past Carifta Games, it was a $4,000 price tag that had to come out of the parents' pocket. So just take that on its own, one competition for part of the year. And so it is costly if a parent or an athlete aspires to do well in what would seemingly be an inexpensive sport, because you don't have a boat, you don't have a horse, but it's costly. And so I do think that's one of the significant changes. The other is just around the philosophy of what it takes to be great, the commitment, the time, the sacrifice. And it is really important that everybody on that athlete's team, such as parents, coaches, et cetera, are on that same page. And I'm not sure that we are doing enough to inspire parents and athletes to make that commitment.
It's interesting you say that, because this conversation I've had many times with one of our co-hosts, Larry Marshall Jr., who is, into the distance running. And between him and Hazel Clark, they've told me, like, resources, even Katora Horton Parent Chief, like, resources are such an important part of the sports that you all do. But I want to transition to performance pathways. Like you obviously just explained, the price, that tag that parents have to come out of pocket for. What's the true inspiration to establish it, and how did your personal journey influence the mission for performance pathways?
So not only am I an athlete, an Olympian, I am a parent of 2 athletes in the sports of swimming and track and field. I am a coach in the sport of swimming, and I 2 years ago introduced a bridge to a sports psychologist in the community. And what those roles afforded me is a unique lens. And to be very candid, I was uncomfortable with what I was seeing. I also wear a hat on the Bermuda Olympic Association Standards Committee and work closely with the name that you just dropped with Katura in the junior grant funding. And through all of those lenses, there are some gaps, some obvious gaps and easy fixes. And when I say easy, I mean easy fixes to give funding and support to our Bermudian talent. And my experience has been riddled with bureaucracy, politics, and red tape. And so my inspiration was, it's easier to do it on my own. And one example is we incorporated in January of this year, and we decided on Monday, we being the selection committee for performance pathways, we're awarding $14,000 in grants in 3 months. And that doesn't happen through the channels that we speak of in terms of, whether it's government bodies or other bodies.
Wow. Can you go back? Because I know you said $4,000 to go to Carifta. Can you give some, I want the audience to get a true understanding of specific cost involved for athletes and how they impact families, like some other things that we might not even consider.
Sure. The landscape has changed in, let's just say 30 plus years, meaning our athletes and adolescents, I'm talking about probably age 12 to kind of mid-20s. What it takes to be in the mix competitively is not only training or basic fees in terms of clubs, et cetera. You need travel to train. You need travel to compete. You need to compete a lot. You need nutrition, physio, preventative physio. My friend Daniel at Performance Rehab, prehab and rehab, sports psychology. The number of young women I work with who are cautious about winning, who are reluctant to win because they will have resistance from their social peers. So that sports psychology is critical, not only in competing, but developing this demographic of our population of Bermuda. So all told, the average for what I would say equipment sports, such as I mentioned earlier, sailing or equestrian, is between $25,000 and $30,000 a year, just to be in the mix and to stand a chance. And let me be clear, that doesn't include overseas boarding school costs, which is where most of our young athletes are having to go in order to stand a chance to be competitive on the world stage.
Wow. Wow. Audience, if you have any questions for Jenny, please send your questions through. We'll get through as many questions and comments as possible. You mentioned ages 12 to 22 just now. Why is the age range particularly critical?
Well, doing simple math, you don't get to an Olympic level in your mid-20s unless you back out 10 years developmentally. And at age 12 is when, assuming that our athletes are doing multiple sports, which is a leading practice in long-term athlete development, they're choosing their sport. They really need 4, 5, 6 years to develop and be competitive on the world stage. And why I say that age is they need the college environment, particularly in the US, has shifted through this whole name and likeness. And I won't go into that detail, but colleges are accepting and signing athletes in their junior year, which is age 16, 17. So if you're not in the mix and either fast in the pool, fast on the track, or other areas by that age, then you're going to lose out, because those 4 years in college are critical if you're aiming for a mid-20s, late 20s career in a major festival. So that's why it's critical. We have to get our athletes in the mix and in consideration for that next phase of development.
You know, I notice more students go into like IMG academies and things like that. Is part of what performance pathways beyond like the financial assistance, like do you support them with things like that? Like what other things do you support them with outside of financial?
Well, certainly in terms of training plans, fail to plan, plan to fail, right? And I get mixed reviews on that, but we certainly offer guidance with respect to training plans, and that could be considerations in selecting schools. I see our role really as sharing information. My experience has been that information exists in pockets, and sometimes folks are reluctant to share. And we're an open book. We will share all of the information, the resources in order to make things happen. The number of moms who will say, I didn't know that exists. So we see our role in terms of connecting and information. But I always say to the parents that whom we work with, or I work with, is that you need to decide what's best for your family. So I can't tell you that IMG is best for your adolescent. Maybe what's best for an adolescent is to stay home in the family unit for another year. That's not my question to ask, and that's not my role. But my role is to say, this is what I know to be true. There are some other people who can share their insights, and then, you can make the choice. But, I think I caution folks in terms of glitz and glamour, and really to be deliberate around what's next. Areas of study. Is that athlete academic? Are they less academic? Do they need a scholarship? What is the profile of the coach, et cetera? The other positive that's come out of this visibility is folks have put their hand up and are willing to help. I'll name by name, Allison Outerbridge. She was a triple jumper. She jumped at University of Tennessee, Knoxville. She's a nutritionist. She is volunteering her time with our track athletes to give them guidance. And so Performance Pathways has the opportunity to make those dollars go further, because folks who are giving their time or discounting their offerings, it allows those dollars to be stretched.
Can you just go back? I know you said this, but sometimes people don't catch it. But Charles H. Jefferson just asking, what does that $4,000 cover that you mentioned earlier? That seems like a lot of money and will price many out of the sport. And that was the point. But I'll let her talk to it. But yeah, that was the point. People being priced out. Go ahead.
So if you do some simple math with that, airfare from Bermuda to Trinidad, plus 5-6 nights hotel, swimming is a 4-day competition. And then just other miscellaneous costs, but you get pretty close to that with airfare and hotel.
Interesting. I got Dexter Smith. He says, Jenny swam like a fish. It was a privilege being on site to cover her and the rest of the swim team at Barcelona 92. Same meet that announced South Africa's readmission after apartheid. Indeed. Shigarena says athletes can eat. I guess she's saying the grocery bill is going to be high. But listening to you this morning, and I love to ask most people who appear on this show this question: what role can the broader community play in supporting young athletes through Performance Pathways? Like, how can we help Performance Pathways do what it is that you're doing?
Well, I appreciate the question and glad you asked. There are a couple of ways. Certainly providers who are interested in partnering with us, make yourselves known through our website, performancepathways.bm. And, you can fill out a very simple form. I think simple is better. And just let us know that you're willing to engage with us. So that's from a provider standpoint. The second is from a funding standpoint. I am cautioned by my lawyers until we get charitable status, which is in the works, we cannot solicit funds more broadly. But as and when we do, believe you me, we will be out there with events and talking to companies and individuals who are willing to help. We have a lofty goal, and the aim is that those funds work for us because as you know, athletes need funding over a period of years, not one-time awards. This is a commitment of 5-7 years. And wouldn't it be nice if that mom or dad could actually support from a parenting standpoint without the stress of figuring out how they're going to pay for it? And then the last is the pillar that we haven't spoken a lot about is the internships and post-career placement. So if you're an employer who wishes to partner with us, and again, we've had a number of organizations who've put up their hand, who've reached out, and we're about to place 3 students this summer already in internships. But if you're an employer who, I'll put in quotation, air quotes, who gets this, who understand that athletes are dedicating most of their time and energy to their sport and may not have that experience, those corporations who wish to support us from a funding standpoint, as well as offering internships, please reach out. There's an opportunity to do so on our website.
Alrighty. Got a couple of questions from the audience. Karen Simmons asking, Ms. Smatt, are there enough developmental programs / events available to young Bermudians interested in swimming?
Well, that's a great question. Let's, I think one of the many things you do well is keeping it real. Let's talk about who gets to learn how to swim in the first instance. And in some cases, they're thrown overboard at Admiralty House. And others can afford to pay for lessons to learn how to swim. And in the sport of swimming, it is critical that you are in the mix around age 5, 6, and you're starting to compete competitively in the club program locally at age 7. So if we're talking about true development, that's where it starts. And then, there are mixed views in terms of what we offer here in terms of development in the sport, but there are avenues once that athlete shows potential.
Indeed. Thank you. We've got Couture Horton, parent chief. She says, how can we develop young Bermudian athletes on island, especially with the fact that we do have some facilities? Do we need coach education too? Boarding school isn't an option for everyone.
My good friend Couture, in a perfect world, I would love to see us have robust developmental programs. But we don't have the depth of coaching. That is a fact. And I think we do right now, we're doing what we can. I know from a track standpoint, one of the opportunities is to allow our athletes to compete in very tough competitions overseas. Running, I'll speak to my son, who's a distance runner. Before going overseas, he would pretty much run by himself. And he had to learn how to race. And we saw that come to fruition in Trinidad. So sure, there's the developmental piece, but there's also, in the first instance, funding to allow them to compete overseas and get that experience and learn those strategies and tactics. Coaching education is another big one, but it's important that we are open to learning. And we have that desire to be the best on the world stage and not the biggest fish in our pond.
Yeah.
And that's a codependency.
Indeed. Ellen Kate Horton is asking, do all curved athletes need to pay themselves or just the swimmers?
I was speaking of the swimmers in the first instance. The track athletes had it was less expensive.
All right.
So you can see on that note, the dependency on the association and their ability to be actively seeking funds.
Okay. Jenny, how can people get in touch with you at Performance Pathways? they may know someone who could utilize your services, or someone who has services they'd like to offer as well. How can they get in touch? And what advice would you give someone who has maybe a young person that they believe is talented, but they don't have the funds?
The easiest way to reach us is performancepathways.bm. It's super simple to fill in a form, make yourself known. The phone number is also there. And so in terms of advice, if you think you have talent and there is no shortage of talent, please reach out to us. If we cannot assist, chances are we have a connection who can make a difference, or we will certainly do our best to make that connection.
All right, Jenny, thank you so much for making time for us this morning. Really appreciated the conversation. Please don't be a stranger. We definitely want to follow your progress, and let us know when you get that charity status. Let us know what we can do on this program to empower and encourage your organization and Bermudians to help our athletes as they grow. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Jenny Smatt, folks, if you appreciated the conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Give us a like, love, follow, share it, whatever social media you're on. I'm going to take a quick break, final break. But in honor of Jenny, today's Daily Play, it's a sports-related music question. Don't go anywhere. I want to test your knowledge. Stick with us.
April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Children depend on every single caring adult in our community to make sure they are safe from sexual harm. Keeping them safe not just in April, but every day. Whether you're a parent, a guardian, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, or a caregiver, we ask that you take just 3 hours out of your busy schedule to learn what you can do to make sure the precious children in your life are protected. They are worth it. Join the SCARS certified adults by simply visiting our website to sign up for a free SCARS training session. Learn about online and body safety, how to protect them, and how to respond if they are harmed. This information is vital to their well-being and their future. Because they are children, it is our responsibility, Bermuda, to protect them. Visit scarsbermuda.com and learn what you can do to help the child in your life stay safe.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Noah's Ark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
BAC's new color showroom is now open. Throughout April, for every $50 spent, your name will be entered to win great raffle prizes. Come learn from BAC, where luxury meets affordability.
All righty. Welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to Jenny Smatt for making time for us this morning. Folks, do us a favor, whatever platform you're on, be it Facebook, YouTube, no LinkedIn today, Instagram, Twitter, X. Make sure you give us a like, love, follow, share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. I love conversations like that, and I hope you do as well, find them helpful. But thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can do it with you on a regular basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, it is music today. All right, let's see who gets this. What song do these lyrics belong to? I've paid my dues time after time. I've done my sentence, but committed no crime. No one got it. Interesting. No one got it. I've paid my dues. There we go. Charles got it. We are the champions. It is we are the champions, as Katora said, is we are the champions, as Stacey Ann Brown said, is we are the champions, as Julie said. It is Queen. We are the champions. Yes, we are the champions by Queen. Yeah, that's dedicated to all our athletes. They are champions. I think we, Larry Marshall Jr. says it often. We don't value how much our athletes actually accomplish. From a small little dot in the middle of the Atlantic, just making it to the Olympic stage is an achievement. To get a scholarship to go to our college is a huge achievement. I think we need to manage our expectations and celebrate that we have people with the talent, the ability, the discipline, the commitment to represent Bermuda on levels that majority of us won't. All right, let's wrap it up though. We spoke about DUIs earlier, folks. Look, I think that personal accountability is going to play a role in us becoming a more a safer community, respectful community. At the end of the day, as I stated earlier, I honestly don't care if you want to personally get drunk or high. Do what you do, but don't put other people in jeopardy based on your decisions. If you're going to do it, don't operate a vehicle. Stay within the confines of your home. We're fine with that. I am not the judge and jury. I'm not telling you how to live, but I'm asking you to respect others. My hope is that the law is enforced. My hope is that people make better decisions. What I do know is that we can't continue to allow this to define our culture. The conversation with Jenny Smatt, grateful for it. I am. I've had this conversation with so many people over the years who have given me a greater understanding of, many of our Olympic athletes. They don't. It's not like they're in team sports where they're getting these contracts like in football or basketball or baseball. It's not that. It's an investment that they have to make. I appreciate what she's doing and trying to do for the next generation of Bermudian athletes. And may she get the support, and may the athletes get the support to exceed even the heights that they set out for themselves. I've got to give you a daily inspiration. Then I've got to let you go. So here's your daily inspiration for the day. Quote, "A truly happy person is one who can enjoy the scenery while on a detour." End quote. And that's anonymous. Folks, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamal Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are out. Peace.